A janitor comes to the police station to clean. But she accidentally spots a mistake in how the police handle a case. She picks up a case file that fell on the floor. Her brain kicks into high gear. The husband was killed. The wife is missing. The police are treating the wife as a murder suspect. A wrong suspect needs to be corrected. Morgane erases the word suspect and writes victim below it. She thinks she's just doing the police a small favor. But the next day, things take a turn. The case lead, Karadec, flies into a rage. The police station has surveillance cameras, and Morgane's act of editing the caseboard was fully recorded. But when brought to the station, Morgane acts clueless. It's just fixing a tiny error, no need to thank me in person. Karadec is furious. He's been a cop for decades, and a janitor isn't about to school him on solving cases. Chief Céline doesn't care, and pulls out the case file. She demands Morgane explain herself in person, and now it's Morgane's time to shine.
Eh ben, là, par exemple, voilà, les coussins sur le canapé, alignement avec alternance de couleurs et espacement identique. Ok. Là, bon, bah, bibelot, nickel chrome en randonnion. Qu'est-ce que ça nous raconte? Eh ben, que la proprio est une toxico du rangement. D'accord. Seulement là, bon, bah, rideau avec sa jolie cordelette, rideau avec sa jolie cordelette, et là, rideau sans cordelette. C'est chelou, non? Vous n'allez pas me dire que la nana, elle se galère sur ses coussins et qu'elle en a rien à faire des rideaux. Donc, la corde, elle a été utilisée pour quelque chose.
Based on these details, it's clear. The rope was obviously used to tie someone up, and with adhesive found on the chair, the culprit definitely used tape and rope to bind someone. There are no marks on the victim's hands or feet, so the one tied up could only be the wife, and the real culprit is someone else. This reasoning is airtight. Even though Karadec claims decades of case-solving experience, he can't find a flaw. But he's stubborn, saying they need lab results to confirm if there's tape on the chair. Right after he speaks, a subordinate rushes in, embarrassing Karadec. They checked cameras near the crime scene and found a third person was there. Either way, Morgane did break the rules. Karadec orders her locked in a holding cell. But he's not happy about it, and even says Morgane's reasoning is just guesswork. Chief Céline knows the police got it wrong from the start.
Tu sais ce qui me fait chier, Céline, c'est que si cette cinglée a les raisons, on est doublement dans la merde. D'une part, ça veut dire qu'on fait mal notre boulot, et d'autre part, qu'on a peut-être une deuxième victime.
Mais il serait temps de s'en rendre compte, non?
Though reluctant, Karadec has no choice but to revisit the entire case, and Morgane is released. But as she prepares to sign a confidentiality agreement, she glances at surveillance footage the police obtained. Seeing Karadec about to label the woman in the video as a new suspect, she can't hold back and jumps in.
Elle est bidon, hein, votre vidéo. C'est pas la bonne date.
The video shows a northwest wind, which typically only appears in spring. But in autumn, like now, the city should have southeast winds. The video was clearly filmed months ago. As for how she determined the wind direction in the video, it's simple. Just look at the church behind the woman. Historically, when churches were built, the main entrance always faced east so the sun would shine from behind, making people look more divine. But Chief Céline chases after her. She wants to know how Morgane does it. Turns out, Morgane has an IQ of 160. Her brain works so fast she only needs 1 or 2 hours of sleep daily. The rest of her time goes to watching movies and reading, so she knows a bit more than most. But her high IQ makes her fix mistakes on sight, which is why jobs and boyfriends never last. Plus, she cares for 3 kids during the day, so she can only work as a janitor at night. Chief Céline wants to hire Morgane as a consultant for the police, but Karadec strongly objects.
Cette fille a 160 de QI. C'est un putain de génie.
Mais je me fous de son QI. Elle s'y connaît peut-être en église, mais tu mets pas une civile sur l'enquête criminelle, Céline.
At the same time, Morgane is released and meets the victim's daughter, Mathilda. Morgane's husband also went missing 15 years ago, so she understands the girl's feelings. Looking at a photo of the missing mother on the phone, Morgane wants to help. Right then, Chief Céline comes to offer a deal. If Morgane finds the missing wife, Céline will waive her fines and detention. After some negotiation, Morgane agrees. Not because she fears the fine, but because she wants to help the girl find her mom. When Morgane joins the investigation team, Karadec takes a few officers to the victim's sister's house, Rosalie, to investigate. Morgane fiddles with items and books on the table, and notices they don't match the decor style. Plus, a biology essay on the table leads her to quickly conclude, this woman is suspicious. But Karadec isn't pleased. Morgane's just a consultant, not authorized to interrogate. Besides, on the day of the crime, Rosalie was at a biology conference with a solid alibi. Morgane is so annoyed she doesn't want to talk. Next, Karadec, supposed to investigate the victim's workplace, insists on following protocol and waiting for a search warrant from the lawyer. Morgane is completely fed up. She pulls the handbrake and storms out of the car. Karadec secretly smirks, never liking this frumpy woman anyway. But at the victim's company, while waiting for the lawyer, he goes to wash his hands. Morgane suddenly appears and secretly hands him a letter. Though she doesn't like Karadec, she won't let it affect the investigation. Earlier, she posed as a janitor, snuck into the company, and found this key clue. Karadec is stunned. Is Morgane so smart she doesn't know stolen evidence can't be used? But he's not rigid. During the official search, Karadec slips the letter into the files, cleaning its source. The letter is a will written by the victim's colleague Sarah. Sarah, also a lawyer, was defending this person in a sexual assault lawsuit. But Sarah was also attacked by this person. The lawsuit's target is the boyfriend of the victim's sister, LaRue. This proves Morgane's hunch. Rosalie is indeed suspicious. Karadec quickly summons LaRue to the station. But after a few questions, LaRue's lawyer's lawyer arrives. He checked the company cameras and spotted a red-haired woman sneaking into the office. That's enough to prove the police's evidence was obtained illegally. Karadec has to let him go. The case hits a dead end again. Morgane comes to ask about the interrogation progress. Karadec is furious. If Morgane hadn't investigated against protocol, they might have found the missing gene.
Alors maintenant, vous dégagez.
Though kicked out, she still reminds Karadec to check LaRue's lawyer's cigar. Karadec initially brushes it off. But that night, Céline advises him to focus on solving the case, not personal feelings. With the key evidence deemed invalid, they have to rely on Morgane. The next morning, an unexpected visitor shows up at Morgane's house. Karadec is shocked to learn Morgane had 2 boyfriends and 3 kids. He wants to discuss the case, but Morgane ignores him and hands him a spoon of soup. If Karadec had followed her advice to check the cigar, he'd have found it's a Cuban type, only sold locally. The lawyer, clearly an older white man, wouldn't travel to Cuba, so LaRue likely brought it back for him. Plus, when they checked Rosalie's house, everything else was dusty except a clean Cuban car model. This proves the 2 recently went to Cuba. At this point, it's time to take the kids to school, so Karadec reluctantly plays driver. But the case is now pretty clear. To dodge the sexual assault lawsuit, LaRue deliberately seduced Jean's sister, Rosalie. Rosalie, infatuated, was manipulated into becoming an accomplice in her brother-in-law's murder. As for her alibi, it's easily explained. The police got the crime's timing wrong. Seeing Karadec's disbelief, Morgane chuckles.
Oh, cette tête! Ah, c'est pas facile de vous dérider, hein?
They head to the crime scene. Remember the photo on Jean's daughter's phone? Taken 3 days before the crime, the flower in the photo was still fresh, but in the police's photo, it had wilted. That flower lasts 4 or 5 days. So, on the day of the crime, Rosalie tried to convince her sister to drop the defense, but was refused. In a heated moment, Rosalie grabbed a hunting rifle from the cabinet, and it accidentally went off, hitting her brother-in-law who walked in. Though it was her sister to delay the trial and save her boyfriend, she tied Jean up. As a biologist specializing in bacteria, Rosalie knew how to manipulate the crime's timing. Plus, Jean had a palm tree at home, with a temperature control device installed. By raising the room's temperature, waiting, then adjusting it back via phone, she could fool the coroner about the time of death, creating her alibi. As for where Jean is held, Morgane recalls seeing a basement rental ad at Rosalie's house. The most dangerous place might be the safest. The police act quickly. Sure enough, they find Jean tied up in the basement. The case is successfully cracked, and Morgane is officially hired by the station. At first, she refuses, with 3 kids to care for, and no time for a day job. But seeing the mother and daughter hugging and crying nearby, she thinks of a man. He went missing 15 years ago. Maybe with the police's help, she can find him.
Je veux 30% de salaire en plus.
Morgane agrees to work as a consultant for the station, but Céline has to pay extra. She needs help dropping the kids at daycare, and one more thing.
Si moi je travaille pour vous, vous travaillez pour moi. Je veux que vous retrouviez quelqu'un. Romain Destat, disparu il y a 15 ans.
D'accord.
On his first day as a cop, this janitor brings his kid to a crime scene. Karadec is stunned to see a body without clothes in a bathtub. Is it okay for a child to see this? Morgane doesn't care, saying it's just a body. Her kid doesn't even know what it is. Besides, she glances at the scene and is almost sure it's murder. The man's head was held in the tub with his eyes still open. He died because water filled his lungs. Karadec says the coroner hasn't arrived yet. It's too early to call it murder. Morgane points to the floor. No footprints around the tub. Did the victim fly into the bathtub? The killer must have wiped the floor before leaving. If Karadec doubts her, he should check the towels nearby. 2 towels at the bottom are neatly folded, but the top one is messy. The killer clearly used a towel to clean the floor. If he still doesn't get it, he should feel the towel. It's probably wet. Karadec tries to stop her but can't. He admits Morgane is right. Next, Morgane looks at a glass cup nearby. This type of cup isn't typical for hotels. It means the victim was somewhere else last night. Then he met someone at this hotel, maybe a pretty woman.
C'est drôle, hein. C'est vrai que c'est exactement ce qu'on a dit pendant des années à Einstein sur sa théorie de la relativité. Vous savez ça?
Einstein, rien que ça.
She sees the whole picture with one glance, proving Karadec wrong again. Morgane just smiles. Verifying is simple. Check the victim's clothes for ID. A quick check at nearby bars will confirm if she's right.
Seule?
Avec une femme. Brune, la quarantaine, assez belle.
Soon, Gilles reports that hotel cameras caught a short-haired woman. After investigating, they learn her name is Gladys, a doctor. She has access to drugs that can knock someone out. Gladys doesn't hide anything, saying they're all adults. They met at a bar, hit it off, and went to the hotel. They planned to shower, but he was drunk and passed out. Since nothing happened, she left. Her story has no holes, and the camera timeline backs it up. Gladys left before the estimated time of death from the medical exam. Karadec plans to start with the victim's ID, but it's fake. When the case hits a dead end, Morgane gets a wild idea. Evidence can't leave the police station, but she doesn't want her kid tagging along for overtime. So she packs up the evidence and takes it home. Karadec freaks out when he notices the evidence is gone. By protocol, evidence taken from the station is considered contaminated. It can't be used in court. Morgane doesn't get it. She wore gloves while checking it. How could it be contaminated? The priority is finding the killer. She noticed something on the victim's clothes. The suit is expensive but full of patches inside. A truly rich person wouldn't patch clothes. Plus, the stitching doesn't crisscross. Morgane recalls a co-worker from Madagascar at a tailor shop. They said crisscross stitches mean the wearer will have twins. Twins are seen as bad luck there. So, checking local Madagascar tailors will reveal the victim's real identity.
Pensez sérieusement que j'ai un fichier ethnique des retoucheurs de l'île?
If they can't find it, they'll have to search online. Madagascar people often name shops after themselves with long names. That makes them easy to find. While searching, Morgane feels like a CSI expert. They check shop names and find an owner who recognizes the victim. He only knows the victim as Vincent, living nearby. For Morgane, that's enough. She remembers cement marks on the victim's shoe soles. It means a construction site is near his home. With a house key from his pocket, they easily find his home. Karadec is skeptical but tries the key, and Morgane finds what police couldn't. Vincent's wife and daughter greet them. When Karadec shows the wife a hotel photo, she's shocked. To her, Vincent was always a decent man. Plus, with their daughter's birthday coming, he gave her a gift early. Morgane doesn't get it. Vincent was a jerk who deserved to die. Why did Karadec show the wife photos of him cheating? Despite Morgane's 160 IQ, Karadec is better at detective work. Showing the wife the mistress photo checks if she knew anything. It rules out a jealous murder. They disagree on this, but Karadec knows he can't out-talk Morgane.
C'est pas ce que je voulais dire. Bref, au revoir, à demain, à l'heure et sans bébé.
Morgane takes 2 steps, then turns back. They can argue, but she knows Vincent was hiding something. Why fake his identity just to cheat? The next day, Morgane doesn't bring her kid, just a big bag of snacks. Karadec sighs. They're hunting a killer, not chatting over food. Gilles stops grabbing snacks but admits they're tasty. The coroner's report finds GBL residue in the glass at the scene. It's used in wheel cleaner and as a cheap recreational substance. Vincent likely died from the substance and drowning. His time of death was between 9:30 and 10:30 p.m. Gladys left at 8:30 p.m., so it wasn't her. But how did someone enter the room after her?
Le tueur est passé par la fenêtre.
Karadec frowns. Hotel windows on the 4th floor don't usually open. Morgane recalls the curtains moving slightly at the scene. Someone opened the window. Karadec, fearing another embarrassment, tells Gilles to recheck the scene. When everyone leaves, Daphne quietly grabs some snacks. As expected, they find magnesium powder on the window ledge. It's anti-slip powder used in rock climbing. This confirms the killer's method. Daphne also traces Vincent's bank records. An €80,000 transfer comes up. It's a large sum. Using the sender's name, they find an elderly woman in a nursing home. Vincent's real identity is now clear. He was a con artist. He scammed vulnerable women out of money. The elderly woman, with mild dementia, thought he loved her. When he suggested investing in a house for her son, she sent €80,000. Her son was already suspicious and isn't shocked. He asks police to keep it from his mother. Though they know Vincent's identity and cause of death, the killer is still unknown. That night, Morgane visits Vincent's home alone. She wonders why Vincent gave his daughter a birthday gift early. The girl is sweet, and shows Morgane the gift when asked. Morgane finds a stack of cash inside a teddy bear. She plans to borrow the toy and teases the girl. Suddenly, the girl asks,
D'accord. Maman a dit que papa reviendra plus. Est-ce que c'est vrai? Et quand on est mort, c'est pour toujours.
Morgane struggles to answer. Vincent clearly loved his family. But to know if someone is truly gone, it's not just about being alive. It's about whether they're forgotten. While looking at Vincent's family photos, Morgane spots a familiar tattoo. She saw it on a bartender's hand. Morgane meets Karadec at that bar. The doctor and the nursing home woman both met Vincent here at this bar. They were vulnerable, perfect targets for a con artist. Someone who knew them well saw them. Morgane shows Karadec the photo. The bartender sees it and bolts. Karadec may not be the best detective, but he's great at chasing. They pursue him through the kitchen, making a mess. Karadec finally subdues the bartender. Morgane sips Karadec's cocktail, pretending not to hear him calling from the kitchen. After police backup arrives, Karadec gets mad at Morgane. She knew the bartender was a suspect but didn't warn him. He wasn't armed and nearly got stabbed. For Morgane, it might be a puzzle, but for cops, it's life or death. Morgane is speechless for once but won't admit defeat. She threatens to quit. Karadec snaps back. Can't they solve cases without her? Back at the station, he questions the bartender. The bartender denies killing anyone. He only helped Vincent pick rich, gullible targets and split the money. Without solid evidence, police can't charge him with murder. Karadec suddenly misses Morgane. With her, they might find real proof. Morgane is at home, staring at the ceiling. Her brain kicks into overdrive, piecing clues together. She realizes they overlooked the real killer. The next morning, Morgane sincerely apologizes to Karadec. She was wrong to treat cases like puzzles. Back to the case, she's sure the bartender isn't the killer. He's a perfect suspect. He could drug Vincent and knew his hotel. But his long nails show he's not a climber. He couldn't scale a fourth-floor window to kill. The real killer is someone else. That morning, Morgane paid her daughter €20 to help. Her daughter knows GBL is popular among kids. She talked to friends and brought back a climbing club poster from school. It features someone they've met, the nursing home woman's son. Karadec was right about one thing. Hotel windows don't usually open. The killer needed an accomplice to open the window and drug Vincent. That accomplice is clearly Gladys, the first suspect. The case becomes clear. That day, the son planned to stop Vincent's scam and met Gladys. After hearing how Vincent scammed his mother, Gladys wanted revenge. They planned a locked-room murder. They don't think they're wrong. Killing a con artist is justice. But even if Vincent was a scammer, he loved his daughter dearly. His crimes should face legal justice. As the case closes, there's progress on Morgane's missing ex-husband. 15 years ago, police took him away. During a conversation, he mentioned the name Agnes. That name is very familiar to Morgane. It's her mother. Morgane watches a video and instantly spots something off. This rich guy's Chinese artifact collection is all fake. On a so-called Ming Dynasty vase, there's an image of a kid's blindfold game. Unlike regular hide-and-seek, this game is called blindfold tag. It started in 16th century Europe. That's the Qing Dynasty in China. How could a Qing-era design show up in Ming Dynasty artifacts? Real artifacts would just show kids playing normally. But Florence, who swapped the artifacts, had no choice. She does it to save her 2 kids. Days ago, her ex-husband Frank uses custody rights to take the kids. Then all 3 vanish. Florence immediately reports it to the police. When Karadec and Morgane visit Frank's house, Morgane notices odd soil in the backyard. She digs and finds a buried man's arm. The body is Frank, Florence's ex-husband. He was an environmental activist who bought a large plot nearby to grow crops. But on the cultivated land, there are signs of disturbed soil. That's how Morgane finds the body. Police quickly question neighbors, who say Frank recently argued with a long-haired woman. People assume it's Frank's new girlfriend. Morgane points to the body's finger. Morgane finds a survival guide in his room. It's filled with notes, showing Frank was teaching the kids wilderness survival. But why is he buried in the vegetable garden? And where are the kids? Morgane finds a photo tucked in the book. It's an old couple on vacation. Time ticks by, and hope of finding the kids alive fades. While Celine leads a police search nearby, Karadec and Morgane rush to Florence's house. Rich people are different. They have a private driver and a full-time maid. Morgane knows to get info from the rich, you ask the help. She teaches the maid a trick. If you sip the boss's whiskey, add water to hide it. This quickly builds trust. The maid says Florence and Frank were close. But Florence's dad, a hotel tycoon, clashed with Frank's environmental ideals. Days ago, they had a big fight in the study. Florence's dad even accused Frank of stealing. After the initial investigation, 15 hours passed since the kids went missing. Police still have no leads. The only clue is the long-haired woman who argued with Franck. While Karadec asks around, Morgane brings a community report on Franck's parenting.
Mais vous êtes complètement taré, Morgane. Vous savez à qui vous venez de raccrocher?
Regardez ce qui est écrit là.
Au ministère des Affaires étrangères du Luxembourg.
Carence alimentaire. Vous vous souvenez du potager du gars? Vous le voyez donnant de la junk food à ses mômes, vous? Et alors là, environnement culturel pauvre. Y a pas un écran dans la baraque, par contre, y a des livres dans toutes les pièces. On a fait pire pour abrutir ces gamins, non?
Morgane thinks the community worker targeted Franck on purpose. They wanted him to lose custody. Karadec enters the worker's name and finds she matches the witness description. Her name is Clara. She denies framing Franck. Morgane notices mosquito bites on Clara's neck. There are no mosquitoes in France this season. Clara clearly just traveled to a tropical place. When Clara won't admit it, Morgane picks up an envelope on the table. From her janitor days, she knows these are bank debt notices. Clara's dining table has the cheapest peanut butter. These details prove Clara's in financial trouble.
Quand vous arrivez à vous payer un petit séjour dans un hôtel de luxe.
C'est...
Le Vioc, qui vous a offert un séjour dans un de ses palaces pour vous remercier d'avoir pondu un rapport bien pourri sur son gendre.
Clara is shocked Morgane sees through her without a word. She explains she took a bribe from Florence's dad to keep her job. She also thought the kids would be better in a mansion with their grandpa than eating dirt with Franck. Clara says she has no reason to kill, but Florence's dad is suspicious. Rumor is, Franck had proof Florence's dad was bribing people. If reported, it would hurt his hotel business. With this info, police quickly bring Florence's dad to the station. As the team leaves, Morgane sneaks into the study. The maid said Franck stole something from there. When she starts the printer, besides her fingerprints, a sheet shows familiar red ink. It matches the photo found at Franck's house. It's clearly proof of Florence's dad's bribery. In the station's interrogation room, Florence's dad is cocky with his lawyer. He stonewalls Karadec's question, but when he sees the red ink photo, his face changes. The photo shows an old man without clothes. He's a judge who recently approved Florence's dad's hotel on wetlands. As thanks, Florence's dad arranged a hotel vacation for him. If the judge refused, no big deal. Zoom in on the photo, and the hotel logo is clear on the towel. This gives police reason to suspect Florence's dad killed Franck to stop him from reporting. Karadec pulls out a phone record. He knows rich people like Florence's dad have fixers for problems.
C'est le gars que vous appelez quand vous avez des problèmes. Pour graisser des pattes. Ou faire taire quelqu'un. Et hier, le problème, c'était votre gendre.
His dirty secrets exposed, Florence's dad tries to stay calm. He didn't like Franck, but would never harm his granddaughters. Karadec smirks. If the fixer sent to kill Franck was seen by the kids, would he spare them? Florence's dad loses his cool. That night, he did send someone to deal with Franck. Police act fast. Using the address Florence's dad gives, they arrest the guy. Ivan admits he went to Franck's house last night, but Florence was there too. Killing an ex-son-in-law was fine, but he didn't dare touch Florence, so he paused the job. The case circles back to the reporter Florence. Plus, her bank account shows she withdrew 10,000 euros. Karadec thinks Florence staged the case to win custody. She planned to kill her ex and take the kids abroad. As police prepare to list Florence as wanted, Morgane objects. They found a favorite toy at the scene. Its wear shows the kid always carried it. Any mom knows a kid would freak out without their favorite toy. If Florence took the kids, she wouldn't leave the toy behind. Plus, when Florence came to the station, her nails were intact. She didn't look like someone who just buried a body. But over 24 hours have passed since the kids vanished. Police need to explain to the public. Florence is now the top suspect. Morgane can't stand it, wrongly accusing a good person just for answers. Furious, she goes home, where the kids' disappearance is on TV. By chance, Morgane notices something off with Florence's artifacts. Florence clearly needs money but hides it from her family. Luckily, in Lille, France, few dealers buy Chinese porcelain artifacts. Morgane easily finds Florence at a dealer's shop. A kidnapper called her, demanding 100,000 euros for the kids' safety. Morgane gets a mother's desperation. Any cost is worth it for her kids. But the kidnappers sent no photos or recordings, just a call for money. It's definitely a scam. Florence won't agree to tell police. Morgane makes up an excuse to call Karadec. He realizes backup won't arrive in time and gets an idea. He tells Morgane to call him and slip her phone into the ransom bag. It becomes a simple tracking and communication device. Florence follows the kidnapper's instructions to the drop-off point. Karadec protects her from a distance. At the location, Florence ties the money bag to a rope as told, but she sees no sign of the kids. As Morgane predicted, the kidnappers don't plan to release the hostages. They see Florence as a long-term cash machine. Luckily, Karadec is waiting at the other end of the warehouse. A gunshot rings out, hitting the kidnapper. He escapes to his car and disappears. Thankfully, the phone in the money bag works. Using its signal, they find the kidnapper's car. Florence, crying, rushes over, fearing her kids are in the trunk. It's just a scare, no kids. But why burn the car and the money? The ransom might not be the main goal. The longer this drags on, the more danger the kids face. Rich people's kidnappers might eliminate hostages after returning. Morgane won't give up, she's so close to finding the kids. The kidnapper is short, about 5'3", and weighs at most 145 pounds. But millions of French people fit that description. Morgane turns on the car radio and hears horse racing news. A familiar scene pops into her head. The first time at Florence's house, the driver held a horse betting slip. When she first saw the driver, something felt off. With trees everywhere, why park under the mansion where birds poop? He parked there to see Florence's room in the rearview mirror. He clearly loves Florence, who just divorced under her dad's pressure. He saw his chance, kill Frank, kidnap the kids, and pretend to save them. That would win Florence's heart and make him the rich son-in-law. But he didn't expect the kids' cleverness. That day, when he opened the car trunk, the kids bolted into the forest. He doesn't seem to be lying. Police immediately search the mountains. Morgane grabs the survival guide. The kids clearly learned its skills. When lost in a forest, use sunlight and migrating birds to find north. Eat wild mushrooms and berries, with tips to avoid poison. Along the way, the kids left rescue signals. They built a shelter to wait for help. Though their dad is gone, he still protects them in his way. Seeing Florence reunite with her kids, Morgane feels connected to this job. For a mother, nothing beats seeing her kids return safely. Morgane suddenly fires a shot at her partner. Her colleagues freeze, too shocked to react. Karadec can be strict. But does she really want to take him out? Morgane quickly explains this is an exotic veterinary clinic. The monitoring cabinet clearly lists a pair of frogs, but the male frog is missing. From tissue scraps and red stains on the victim's palm, she washed her hands before dying. Morgane suspects the missing male frog is in the hand wash solution.
C'est une Philobaptès terribilis. Vous venez de sauver la vie du commandant.
Someone, trying to harm another, put a poisonous frog in the hand wash, nearly killing a cop. Karadec isn't alert enough to drive, but Gilles has to leave and hands him to Morgane. Thinking of Morgane driving a police car, Karadec wants to stay unconscious. The victim is Fanny, the clinic's veterinarian. A beauty shop owner, Camille, reported Fanny missing last night. Morgane drives Karadec to check it out.
Vous m'emmenez où?
On va chez l'esthéticienne.
Camille, the shop owner, is Fanny's best friend. She says Fanny is kind, never fights, and the clinic has a good reputation. There are hardly any medical disputes. Finding no leads, Morgane prepares to leave when Camille's young son interrupts.
Peut-être que c'est monsieur de l'autre jour qui l'a tué.
A few days ago, the boy visited the clinic and saw Fanny arguing with a man. Karadec perks up. This is a key clue with no suspects yet. With parental consent, they take the boy to the station to sketch a portrait. Kids' memories are often fuzzy, and even experienced Daphne struggles. Seeing no progress, Morgane steps in. She can't draw but knows how to talk to kids. The boy carries Avengers comics, clearly a superhero fan. Morgane cleverly guides him to describe the suspect using Marvel characters. Daphne tweaks the details into a portrait, and it works well. Morgane keeps mixing up Superman and Batman with Avengers. When the portrait is done, police contact Fanny's parents. They aren't close to their daughter and cut contact years ago. But they recognize the man in the sketch. He's Loic, Fanny's boyfriend when she was 16. He went to prison for robbery and was released last month. Karadec and Morgane exchange looks. Fanny was harmed days after Loic's release. It's hard not to suspect him. During questioning, Loic stays calm. He's on parole with an ankle monitor and a solid alibi. Arguing with an ex-girlfriend isn't a crime, right? Karadec releases him, and the case hits a dead end. Morgane goes home early but keeps hunting for the killer. Checking the clinic's online reviews, she sees Camille's claims don't add up. The clinic used to get good reviews, but bad ones spiked this month. Most accuse Fanny of killing animals for money. Morgane senses something's off and tracks the harshest reviewer via IP address. The man, nicknamed Dark Lord of Cthulhu, took his pet spider to the clinic for a fungal issue. Fanny told him the spider had an infectious disease and was destroyed. He was furious and vented online. Morgane doesn't buy it, just bad reviews. The man hesitates, admitting he stalked Fanny to slash her tires for revenge. Oddly, the address he gives isn't Fanny's home. Coincidentally, Karadec finds the same address in Fanny's bank records. They head there together to check it out. When the homeowner opens the door, the scene inside shocks them. The destroyed pets Fanny mentioned are hidden here. Rare pets fetch high prices, they say. These exotic ones are no exception.
Ah bah c'est Monsieur Cthulhu qui va être content.
Once adoptions are verified, the pets will return to their owners. Karadec spots a number sequence on the fridge. He guesses it's a delivery time and place for Fanny. But a pet worth 30,000 euros, isn't that steep? Morgane sighs, thinking these two are clueless.
S'acheter une maison.
She points to a fridge sticker with a real estate company logo. The crime scene had a similar logo. The numbers aren't delivery details but a house price and size. Fanny clearly wanted to buy a house, but her vet salary wasn't enough. So she risked trafficking exotic pets. Back at the station, Karadec contacts the real estate company. They call Karadec a dog and Morgane a cat since they always clash. Even arguing over speakerphone, one wants it on, the other doesn't. The agent says Fanny loved a 600,000 euro house. She adored its garden and wanted to live there with her partner. Karadec is confused. Camille said Fanny had no boyfriend. Morgane gets an idea. Who says a partner has to be a man? The garden has camellia flowers, look familiar? The vase at Camille's shop and her necklace pendant both have camellias.
L'homme dans la vie de Fanny, c'est une femme.
Camille is the lover Fanny mentioned. Facing Morgane's question, Camille knows she can't hide. 2 years ago she met Fanny and realized she had feelings for women. Fanny was forward and loved Camille's son, even suggesting they buy a house together. Camille filed for divorce, but tragedy struck. Karadec's expression shifts. Camille's husband, Paul, has a clear motive. They summon Paul to the station. He initially denies the murder charge, but Gilles finds a book on amphibians in Paul's car. It describes the frog that caused Fanny's heart to stop, with notes in the margins. After a moment of shock, Paul confesses. He didn't want to lose his wife and son, so he killed Fanny. The team is thrilled to catch the killer so fast. Gilles, who found the key evidence, offers to treat everyone to dinner. But Morgane looks serious. She wonders why Fanny had a photo of Camille's son before they met. In the photo, the boy wears a yellow karate belt. When they met Paul, the boy had a green belt.
Bon, dans le karaté, ça marche comme ça. C'est jaune, orange, vert, bleu, marron, noir.
Teens advance 1 level per year. Yellow to green takes 4 years. Fanny met Camille 2 years ago, meaning she stalked their family before that. Despite this question, it's time to clock out. Cops have personal lives, so it can wait. Still, at home, Morgane can't resist. She secretly researches Fanny's old robbery case. A note about a suspected young female accomplice clicks for her. She drives her 3 kids to the bar where Loic works. Fanny was in the robbery at 16. Caught. She'd get 3 years max. Loic, 21 at the time, faced 7 years. Why did he take the fall for her? Love? Then Loic's gesture gives Morgane a vital clue.
Elle est enceinte.
Meanwhile, Karadec is dining with a date. As they plan to head somewhere private, Morgane and her kids show up. She casually says she's his wife, searching for him for days. Karadec is furious but holds it in. Morgane knows when to stop teasing and gets to the point. Fanny approached Camille for her son. Morgane noticed Loic crosses his arms with his right thumb on top. Only 30% of people do this, and it's genetic. No coincidence Camille's son does it too. He's Fanny and Loic's biological child. During the robbery, Fanny was expecting, so Loic took the blame. Fanny's parents gave the baby away after birth, so she cut ties with them. Later, Camille adopted the boy. Local laws stopped Fanny from reclaiming him legally, so she changed her approach and got close to Camille, faking love to be near her son. Karadec warns Camille. Her husband faces 20 to 30 years for a crime he didn't commit. Can she live with that? He's not perfect, but he loves her. Camille sighs, saying as a mother, even an adoptive one, she loves the boy deeply. That day she overheard Loic arguing with Fanny and learned she was deceived. The boy was closer to Fanny and even wanted to be a vet when he grew up. In jealousy and anger, Camille did something foolish. Paul, loving his wife, saw the animal book and knew it was her. To protect her, he took the blame. When the case clears, Morgane calls Loic to the station. The boy loses 2 mothers but gains a father. Loic brings X-Men comics. The boy, like Loic as a kid, loves superhero stories. Loic apologizes for fighting with Fanny. Though they can't officially reunite, he believes the boy won't lack a father's love. The case closes. Morgane heads home, but Celine calls her into the office to talk. Morgane worries. When a boss wants to talk, it's rarely good. This time is no exception. It's not about firing Morgane. They found traces of her husband, Romain, in an old file, but it says he's dead, his body too damaged to identify. Morgane glances at the victim's knee and spots a clue the police missed. She kneels by a puddle on the floor and searches for a moment. She quickly finds a dead ratatouille. The victim was walking his dog in a parking lot when the dog got drawn to the dead critter. When the old man crouches curiously to check, the attacker strikes from behind. The parking lot camera is destroyed. Why would someone use a plastic bag to attack a retired old man? Luckily, an ambulance arrives in time. The old man is barely clinging to life, but attempted murder is still murder. Looking at the pitiful dog, Morgane feels heartbroken. If the old man doesn't make it, local rules say the dog faces a final nap. But the priority now is finding the attacker. They visit the old man's house to investigate. Morgane finds it odd. The house is messy, with dog hair on the couch for months. Yet at the parking lot, the old man wore clean clothes and a freshly shaved beard. Pets often reflect their owners' personalities. Rich folks who style their hair love poodles. Young models prefer chihuahuas. Tough guys go for pit bulls.
Vous, par exemple, si vous aviez un chien, vous auriez un labrador.
But in this case, the old man's dog hasn't been bathed in months. The owner isn't likely a neat freak. He must have dressed up to meet someone important. Who is that person? Who does an older man confide in besides a therapist?
Sa mère?
À son coiffeur, Karadec.
As expected, a few days ago at a haircut, the old man mentioned dinner with his daughter. But Morgane knows he cut contact with his daughter long ago. Why dine together now? As they head back to the station, Karadec notices Morgane acting sneaky. She took the dog to save it from the final nap. Karadec objects. He's a clean freak. But he can't out-talk Morgane.
S'il pisse sur ma banquette, c'est moi qui l'euthanasie.
Eh, il pue mais il est pas sourd, hein.
To care for it, Morgane names the dog Ryan. Back at the station, the old man's daughter says she never dined with her father. He abused her mother, sending her to the hospital almost weekly. 10 years ago, when her mom died, she reported her dad for murder. The police didn't take the case, and they cut ties since. She can't forgive that abuser. Seeing her anger, Karadec thinks they need to check her alibi. At the same time, the hospital reports news. The old man is declared brain dead, just waiting for family to sign to pull the plug. Gilles starts to say the daughter can't come. But a nurse says the daughter just visited. Gilles senses something's off, but it's too late to chase her. Police dive into the investigation. A month ago, the old man learned he had an out-of-wedlock daughter. They've been close lately, which raises suspicions. But the file on this daughter has little info. No name, no address, no contact. Finding her is tough. Morgane has a plan. Gilles met the girl, so he should close his eyes and recall. He might catch a detail the cameras missed. If he can't remember, no problem. New studies say a slap to the face boosts adrenaline. It sharpens thinking and memory. With Morgane's encouragement, Gilles recalls the girl wore a UFO logo shirt. She had sneakers and a spicy scent. Morgane sees something unique in this. Sneakers suggest she stands a lot, maybe a server or salesperson. The UFO logo and spicy smell point to a restaurant. It's easy to guess she's likely a Mexican restaurant worker. The team searches near the hospital and quickly finds the out-of-wedlock daughter. Despite being on shift, she can't refuse a police invite. Colleen is an actress who sometimes works at the restaurant. Months ago, someone paid her 5,000 euros to play the old man's daughter. Her job was to chat and ease his loneliness. To avoid suspicion, the client had her fake a DNA test. Colleen got too deep into the role and genuinely cared for the old man. That's why she visited the hospital. The issue is the blood sample. Who pays 5,000 euros just to get an old loner's blood? Morgane notices from the camera that the attack happened during morning rush hour. The roads were packed, yet the ambulance arrived in 5 minutes. They asked the ambulance driver and learned there was another call nearby yesterday. When they arrived, no one was there. It was clearly a setup so the ambulance could reach the old man fast. If it was a few minutes late, he wouldn't have survived. What's the attacker's goal?
Ses organes.
Les organes?
Mais oui. 5 minutes sans oxygène, c'est assez court pour permettre au cœur de redémarrer, mais assez long pour transformer quelqu'un en légume. Donc, voilà pourquoi l'employeur mystère de la fausse fille avait besoin d'une prise de sang pour vérifier que Care était compatible.
The attacker used a voice changer when calling the ambulance, hiding their gender. Daphne checks the transplant wait list and finds a suspicious name. Clement, O negative like the old man, 35, has waited 7 years for a heart. 6 weeks ago, his condition worsened, needing an urgent transplant. Clement is in the same hospital as the old man. Karadec and Morgane rush there, but with dilated cardiomyopathy, Clement barely moves. He couldn't go out to kill. He uses a pacemaker and could die any time without a transplant. Karadec still wants to talk in Clement's room. Morgane notices the card reader glitches. When Karadec mentions the brain-dead man with Clement's blood type, the bedside machine beeps. The nurse thinks Karadec's words upset the patient. Morgane points to a no MRI sign on the door. MRIs disrupt pacemakers due to magnetic fields. But the nurse's card didn't work, meaning a strong magnetic field is in the room. It temporarily demagnetized the card. Finding the magnetic source could ease Clement's pain. Karadec sheepishly pulls out his phone. Morgane says a phone's field is too weak. There's a stronger source in the room. She uses her necklace as a simple compass. The field comes from under Clement's pillow. She pulls out a plastic sheet full of magnets. Hidden behind the pillow, Clement didn't notice. His condition worsened not naturally but on purpose. Someone wanted Clement at the top of the transplant list. This requires deep medical knowledge. Morgane suspects a nurse. But police need more proof. Morgane goes home early and introduces the new member to her kids. She couldn't let a life face a final nap. The kids love Ryan and bathe him. But that night, Morgane finds the dog missing. With a bad feeling, she rushes to the old man's apartment. Sure enough, Ryan is there. His owner may not have been great, but he's the only one in Ryan's heart. Morgane yells, "He's not coming back!" But her heart thinks of her ex-husband, Romain. She refuses to believe Romain is dead and gone forever. In some ways, Morgane is like Ryan, clinging to denial. The next day, Karadec explains to the old man's daughter. If she doesn't want to donate his organs, he understands. She doesn't object. Hating her dad for years, this could make up for her mom. Police and she go to the hospital to sign papers. Karadec checked the nurse's bank account. It's clean. A nurse's salary couldn't easily cover 5,000 euros. As Dr. Isabel signs the papers, Morgane recognizes her signature. She apologizes to the nurse and grabs the recent shift schedule. Since Clement's admission, Isabel worked his room every night. They're clearly lovers but hid it to avoid gossip. With her expertise, Isabel knew Clement wouldn't get a heart in time. She pushed him up the list and hunted for a donor. She treated the old man's wife. Morgane recalls her signature on that file. If someone had to die, better a bad guy. So she targeted the old man. As surgery nears, Morgane stays quiet. The past can't change, so let Isabel finish the operation. Hours later, the surgery succeeds. Police take Isabel away. They understand she wanted to save her love, but she chose wrong. Morgane finds a new home for Ryan with Colin. Though indirectly complicit, Colleen felt family warmth with the old man. He was once a wife abuser but, lonely in his final days, realized his mistakes. He cherished his out-of-wedlock daughter. Real or fake, he just wanted companionship. Morgane goes home and talks to her eldest daughter about Romain's death. He didn't abandon them. He had an accident. Next, she plans to use police resources to find Romain's killer. Morgane walks into the men's bathroom. She skillfully turns on the shower. Steam rises quickly. A man's butt print appears on the mirror. Clearly, a big battle just happened here. But the owner of the butt print is found dead in the bathroom. His skull is crushed. Obviously, he was hit hard before dying. Detective Karadec, in charge of the case, doesn't agree. This is a men's bathroom. Handprints and butt prints on the mirror are normal. But Morgane pulls out a smartwatch she took from the victim's wrist. Its heart rate data will prove her theory. In 30 seconds, his heart rate jumps from 70 to 95. She predicts the excitement grows slowly. At 10:25 p.m., it gets intense. He gives his all, hitting 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 5. At 10:32 p.m., he hits a peak.
Orgasme.
Karadec isn't convinced. At most, it shows the victim was active. What kind of activity isn't clear. Morgane picks up the watch again.
Parce que sa montre indique qu'il a fait aucun pas.
Maybe to save Karadec's pride, Gilles steps in to explain. Smartwatch data isn't always accurate. He bought one for his mom. Every Thursday, when the delivery guy comes, her heart rate spikes. At this point, Gilles seems to realize something. Meanwhile, the coroner finds a piece of paper on the body. It says, Josefa. Is this the killer's name? Strangely, when they ask the victim's friends and family, no one knows a Josefa. The victim, Alex, has a 7-year-old son named Hugo. Talk of activity isn't appropriate in front of kids. So, while Karadec digs into the case, Morgane pretends to want coffee. She pulls Hugo's godfather aside. It turns out Alex recently had a partner but kept it secret. No one knows their name. At the same time, a woman brings pastries to the door. Hearing Alex is dead, she looks devastated. This must be Alex's new partner. Karadec takes her to the station. They met at a clothing store. Alex was supposed to wear a size L but bought an XL. Clearly, he wanted an excuse to return and flirt. They were already planning to get married. But tragedy struck. The man is dead, but food can't go to waste. So, the pastries go to Morgane and her colleagues. Morgane's eldest daughter, Thea, has a school project. She's filming a short documentary. Morgane takes her to the station to gather material. But as Morgane bites into a pastry, something feels off. The pastry is delicious but doesn't suit Alex's taste.
Alex, votre chérie, il était plutôt slip ou caleçon?
The question throws the woman off, and she hesitates. Morgane sees through it. She and Alex weren't lovers. Morgane visits Alex's kitchen. The flour in the cupboard is gluten-free because Alex was allergic to gluten. But the woman's pastries used wheat flour. If she was his lover, wouldn't she know that? As Morgane suspected, the woman has a condition where she imagines romantic relationships. In simple terms, she's obsessed with guys. When she likes someone, she creates a fantasy love story. She convinces herself they're in love. If severe, this condition can lead to self-harm or extreme aggression.
Bon, bah continue de chercher. Écoutez.
Ouais, j'entends rien, moi.
Le silence. Pas d'Alvaro.
Morgane leaves work early to pick up her kids at her mom's. The police find the woman has an alibi during the crime. The case hits a dead end. Karadec thinks they should start with the name Josefa. This time, Morgane is stumped. Guessing without facts leads to mistakes. Thea, watching, suggests Josefa might not be a person but a place. Karadec snaps.
Je vous ai dit de ne pas communiquer d'informations liées à l'enquête sur Internet. Tu vérifies Daphné, s'il te plaît.
He scolds, but they check anyway. Sure enough, Thea's right. There's a Josefa industrial area nearby where soccer fans meet to fight. Alex was part of it. In a previous fight, the Viking gang's leader got beaten badly. He was hospitalized for a month. Days after his release, Alex dies mysteriously. The police suspect the Viking gang planned revenge. Karadec takes Morgane to find the Viking leader. His name is Fred. Fred says the gangs aren't criminals. They're just fans of rival soccer teams. Sometimes, after a loss, they get mad and fight. They have rules. No kids. Stop if someone falls. No weapons. But last time, the Red Dog gang broke the rules. They brought metal bats and nearly killed Fred. While Karadec questions Fred, Morgane talks to his crew. They plan to get revenge for Fred. But Fred made a deal with the Red Dog leader. Red Dog would handle Alex internally, usually with a beating or expulsion. But this time, it ended in murder. Despite the lead, the Red Dog leader is a mystery. He never shows his face. Morgane plans to take Thea home. At the door, she sees a cop littering. Thea stands right there. How can a cop set a bad example? When Morgane picks up the tossed cup, its logo sparks an idea. Alex's pen holder and coasters have the same logo, maybe a soccer team's. Find it on a map, and they could locate Red Dog's hangout. Though a woman, Morgane isn't fazed by the men's stares. Who says women can't love soccer? To earn their trust, she shows her grit.
Tu veux me tester? Vas-y, balance. Mais je te préviens, si tu te plantes, tu bois.
Et si je gagne, tu payes.
They agree to a soccer trivia contest. The men pick the wrong opponent. With her 160 IQ, Morgane learned enough on the drive to crush them. But she knows to ease up to fit in. After pretending to lose a few questions, she gets to the point. She asks who the Red Dog leader is. The man looks uneasy, saying the leader isn't friendly. Just then, the leader stands quietly behind him. His face looks familiar. It's Hugo's godfather. Morgane's identity as a consultant is exposed. They won't hit a cop, but teaching a consultant a lesson is fine. An hour later, Karadec rushes to the scene. He finds Morgane locked in a dumpster and chuckles.
Poil.
Vous êtes pas blessé?
Allez, Karadec, sortez-moi de là.
Oui, je mets mes gants, vous permettez?
Je vous en prie, bien sûr.
Morgane's usually too smart, but this time she got a taste of trouble. Still, they've identified the suspect. The team brings the godfather, Cyril, to the station. Facing murder charges, Cyril denies it. That day at Josefa, it wasn't Alex fighting, it was his son, Hugo. Young people don't hold back and hit hard. Hugo wore a mask. Cyril only found out after the fact, so he had no reason to kill Alex. Karadec plans to talk to Hugo tomorrow. The kid lied, saying he knew nothing, making them work late. Karadec grumbles about the case. Morgane just notices her pastry lacks mayo, but Karadec's has some. Seeing mayo on Karadec's mouth, she casually asks for a taste. Karadec freezes, thinking he's dreaming. Are they this close now?
Morgane, mais combien de fois je vais devoir vous le dire? Je préfère un abricot.
In the dream, their friendship feels oddly special. Karadec wakes startled. How could he like Morgane? When his alarm rings, for the first time in years, Karadec is late. Meanwhile, Morgane wakes up. Thea finished her documentary and wants feedback. It includes footage of the Josefa fight. Morgane questions how Thea got confidential material. Thea somehow convinced Daphne. Watching, Morgane notices something odd. In the video, Hugo, masked, targets only Fred, ignoring others. Did he know his dad had a beef with Fred and want revenge? Asking directly won't work, so Morgane tries another angle. She talks to the woman obsessed with Alex. The woman doesn't know Fred or anyone in the video. Morgane thinks it's a dead end. But at the clothing store, she sees a familiar yellow shirt. Someone wore it before. The woman said Alex was a size L but bought an XL. Maybe Alex and Fred weren't enemies but lovers. Morgane takes the kids to the station to discuss with Karadec. Then a call comes in. Fred is holding Cyril hostage at a bar. Morgane, Karadec, and Hugo rush over, leaving the kids with Daphne. As Morgane guessed, Fred was the one active with Alex. Learning his lover was killed, Fred takes it out on Cyril. Seeing Hugo's uneasy look, Morgane pieces it together. Hugo, raised by his godfather, couldn't accept his dad's orientation. He has a fear of same-sex relationships. Pretending to be his dad, Hugo attacked Fred at Josefa to break them up. Alex found out, and during an argument, Hugo pushed him. Alex's head hit a hook on the wall. With Morgane's encouragement, Hugo bravely tells the truth. He's lost one dad and can't lose another. The case closes. Morgane and Karadec's bond grows in this episode. That night, as Morgane thinks about rekindling things with her ex-husband, Karadec's face appears instead. She wakes startled, unsure if it's a sweet dream or a nightmare. Morgane visits the beach once. Police mistake a murder for an accident. A rope wraps tightly around the victim's neck. He is dragged across the sand for hundreds of meters. In the end, he died from asphyxiation. Morgane points at the knot. This knot tying is too sloppy. As a surfing and rowing coach, the victim would use at least a figure 8 or snake knot. They question witnesses at the beach. Witnesses heard someone storm into the victim's office, calling them a twisted creep. Karadec and Morgane go to the victim's house. They see the word pervert painted on the door. The coach, named Axel, clearly upset someone. As Karadec steps inside, he freezes. Morgane is right. This is a murder. This place is the first crime scene. The killer knocks Axel out in the house, drags him to the beach, and stages an accident. A voice calls from outside. A colleague comes looking for Axel. She clearly doesn't know the coach is dead. She says Axel is well liked by everyone. He never acted inappropriately with female students. He doesn't seem like a twisted creep. The colleague once pursued him romantically. But Axel seems to have someone special already. He never accepted anyone's advances. As usual, Karadec talks to the victim's acquaintances while Morgane snoops around. She grabs a cola from the fridge. After one sip, she spits it out.
Pardon, mais le coca chaud, c'est vraiment dégueu.
Karadec chuckles. They bring a beach witness to the station. They hope a sketch will identify the person who insulted Axel. But during the sketch, something feels off. Isn't this the witness himself? This situation is rare. Either the guy is clueless, or something's wrong. Through investigation, they learn the man, Jonathan, got out of prison 4 months ago. He now does odd jobs at a restaurant. Daphne and Gilles visit the restaurant to dig deeper. The head chef starts to say Jonathan has an alibi, but his roommate reveals Jonathan left at midnight and didn't return. This means Jonathan had time to commit the crime. When Karadec shows crime scene photos, Jonathan breaks down and confesses. Axel was a creep who harmed him. When Jonathan was 13 at a summer camp, Axel was his surfing coach. He remembers the lighthouse light mixing with moonlight on the beach. The scene was beautiful. But Axel left a lasting scar on his life. So Axel's death isn't unjust. Karadec stays calm. Many suspects use trauma to dodge murder charges, so they need to verify this story. Jonathan's therapist refuses to share patient details.
Je suis désolée, mais je n'ai pas le droit de révéler ce qu'il m'a confié dans mon cabinet. C'est la loi et je crois que vous la connaissez.
If Karadec wants the truth, he must investigate himself. The therapist hands over a business card, saying to call any time. But with the suspect's confession, the beach murder case seems closed. Celine is thrilled, but Morgane interrupts. Morgane pulls out her phone and shows Jonathan's texts with a friend. When mocking the restaurant's new manager, he misspells pervert. Jonathan admits he wrote the word on Axel's house. But the word there is spelled correctly. Did he suddenly fix his spelling habit? Celine says this proves nothing. It's just a basic typo. Handwriting and typing differ. Seeing Morgane insist, Celine feels embarrassed in front of the team. As the leader, she must maintain authority. So no more discussion. The case will officially close after work tomorrow.
Non mais je rêve. Bah quoi, j'ai pas raison?
Si, c'est sûr.
Karadec trusts Morgane. That night, he waits outside her house. After working together so long, he knows Morgane won't sleep until the puzzle is solved. But they must hide their investigation from Celine. Morgane is touched. She didn't expect Karadec to break rules for her.
Vous emballez pas, Morgane. Vous êtes vraiment une gosse.
They return to the crime scene because of the warm cola from earlier.
Mon Dieu, mais mon chéri, t'étais où? J'étais morte d'inquiétude.
Vous avez cassé quelque chose pour entrer ici?
Bah non, la porte du fond était ouverte, banane.
Morgane notices something odd. There are scorch marks on the wall. Axel's records show he went to the hospital for burns months ago.
Et qui l'a brûlé? Tadam!
This suggests someone tampered with the fridge. Seeing Karadec's confused look, Morgane shyly explains. As a rebellious teen, she dabbled in chemistry. Insecticide mixed with Freon can cause an explosion. Freon is the coolant in fridges. Look at the roaches around the fridge. If it exploded naturally, they'd have burn marks. But they're intact, meaning they died from insecticide. Someone set a trap in the fridge to explode when opened. Karadec checks the fridge and confirms Morgane's theory. The next step is simple. Collect fingerprints around the fridge to find the suspect. Since they're investigating secretly, Karadec relies on police station friends. Celine is pleased to see Morgane at work early for once. Her warning must have worked. But Celine doesn't know Morgane has been there since last night. Karadec's friend sends fingerprint info.
Il a répondu. Les empreintes sont fichées. C'est celle de Lucie Vendorme, 20 ans. Fichier au FNEG pour vol à la tire.
They immediately track her down. But when Karadec reveals he's police, Lucy bolts. Karadec sighs and chases her. On the sand, Lucy can't escape and is caught.
Il m'a violée, voilà ce qui s'est passé. J'avais 9 ans.
She hates Axel, just like Jonathan. Karadec stays silent. Maybe Axel's death was deserved. But Morgane senses something's off. She quietly grabs Lucy's phone.
Qu'est-ce que vous faites là? Hé, police nationale, tu touches à ça, tu touches à la France, ok?
Lucy claims she doesn't know Jonathan, but photos prove they worked at the same restaurant. Both were victims of Axel, harmed near the lighthouse under moonlight. Their stories are moving, but Morgane doesn't buy it. Even if Axel had twisted tastes, this is too coincidental. Both tell their stories in the same order, with nearly identical details. Only lies are so neatly aligned. Rather than revenge, it feels like they killed to repay a favor. Both have criminal records but still got restaurant jobs. The head chef is clearly their benefactor. Since Morgane is hungry, Karadec invites her to eat at the restaurant. But a 3-star restaurant isn't cheap, so they can't dress casually. Morgane buys a dress but keeps the tag on. 200 euros is pricey. She'll return it after eating. While dining, Morgane notices something. The restaurant manager is the head chef's wife. Today, she looks worn out, with a misbuttoned shirt, red eyes, and everything in disarray. Recalling photos at Axel's house, they weren't selfies. Someone took them. One photo shows a shadow with a ponytail. A colleague said Axel had someone special but kept it secret. That's because his girlfriend was married. It must be the manager. Karadec has an epiphany. All the clues connect. The head chef knew his wife was cheating and sent 2 employees he'd helped to kill his rival. He coached them to use the same tragic story to lessen their punishment. It sounds far-fetched but not impossible. Karadec pulls the manager aside for a private talk. As Morgane predicted, she and Axel were secretly involved for months. Recently, a muscular guy with a forearm tattoo confronted Axel, scared about something money-related. As for the head chef, the manager knows her husband well. He's honest, and not the type to order a murder. She doesn't seem to be lying, so Karadec lets her go. After a hearty meal, Morgane thanks the head chef for his hospitality.
Vous étiez au courant que votre femme vous trompait avec un surfeur mort?
The chef is stunned and walks away. But Morgane gets the answer she needs. She wants to confirm if the chef is the killer while ensuring he isn't deceived forever. Someone who hires ex-convicts must be a good person. But after all this investigating, the case circles back to square one. Disappointment is unavoidable. Karadec decides to try his luck at Axel's camper van. In the cramped space, with a man and woman together, the mood feels a bit charged. As they chat and laugh, loud honking comes from outside. Debt collectors arrive, unaware Axel is dead, shouting for money. Morgane gets an idea and mimics Axel's voice, claiming he forgot the debt long ago. The guys outside lose it. Years ago, they pulled a heist together, with Axel as the lookout. They split the money unevenly, so they've been hounding him ever since. As the collectors prepare to break in, Karadec plans to reveal he's police. But before he can show his badge, they drag him out and beat him. Morgane, losing her temper, grabs a chair and swings. She even smacks a guy's head with a stick, but this enrages the thugs. Seeing Morgane pinned against the van, worried she'll get hurt, Karadec ignores protocol. He pulls his gun and shoots directly. Per procedure, he's only allowed to fire warning shots. But to save Morgane, he doesn't care. Their secret investigation is exposed. Back at the station, Celine chews them out. Luckily, Morgane only has a neck injury, but Celine dismisses their new findings. The coroner found Jonathan's fingerprints on the rope, solid evidence. Karadec can't turn the case around. Morgane, frustrated, goes home. After investigating all day with no progress, she flips on the TV and watches a moon documentary. As she dozes off, the beach scene Jonathan and Lucy described flashes in her mind. Under moonlight, near the lighthouse. She's seen it before, on the therapist's business card. The next day, Karadec checks old robbery cases. The therapist was a victim of a heist where her husband was killed, and the culprits were never caught. Axel's death becomes clear. Besides working at the restaurant, Jonathan and Lucy are the therapist's patients. When the therapist learned Axel killed her husband, she used her profession to manipulate them. During therapy, she hypnotized them, planting false memories to incite them to kill Axel. The hypnosis scene in her office matches Jonathan's description. A beach under moonlight, near a lighthouse. Facing Morgane's accusations, the therapist remains unfazed. Speculation without proof is just guessing. Jonathan killed someone. What does that have to do with her? Morgane reminds her of the writing outside Axel's house. Karadec steps in, crushing her last hope. The police will investigate. If they find paint from that scene on her shoe soles, jacket collar, or car seat cover, the case will be clear. The therapist's face stiffens, showing she hasn't cleaned those spots. The case closes. Celine reprimands Karadec for his string of rule-breaking actions. This time is an exception, but next time, she won't save him. On her first day back at work, Morgane helps the police solve a strange case. The victim gets run over by their own car. The car hits them 2 more times. Finally die from internal bleeding. There are no cameras nearby. The only witness is a blind person. Karadec thinks it might be a car theft. In a panic, the thief runs over the victim. Morgane points to the river. If it's a thief, why drive the car straight into the river? The victim, Pauline, is a figure skater. She prepares for the upcoming Olympics. Her father feels heartbroken. His daughter trains hard every day. She doesn't even have time for romance. Morgane notices keys hanging on the wall. According to Pauline's father, the car has a spare key. Last month, Pauline lent it to her coach. The coach hasn't returned it. The team heads to the skating rink. While waiting for the coach, Morgane talks to other skaters. The Olympic spot isn't chosen internally. The coach nominates the candidate. Pauline wins many national awards over the years. This time, the coach cuts her from the Olympic list. The coach seems very suspicious. When Karadec tells the coach about Pauline's death, she's shocked. They're coach and athlete but close like sisters. Pauline doesn't mind being cut from the list. Morgane can't stand it and asks, if she doesn't mind, why does she throw a skate at the coach's face? The coach stays stubborn. Morgane points to the display case nearby. 2 cases, one new, one old, clearly replaced days ago.
C'est quoi ça? Cette petite entaille sur la photo? Exactement la forme de la pointe d'un patin. Voyez avec les petits picots là. À moins que ce soit une petite hache. Ou alors un ioto. Vous êtes amatrice de sabre japonais? Non, j'opterais plutôt pour votre patin. On a une...
The coach finally speaks. Though she and Pauline are close, she doesn't play favorites. The Olympics are for the most capable. Pauline's performance drops recently. Her attitude isn't serious. Her personal life is messy. She doesn't deserve the Olympic spot. The coach has the spare key. During the crime, she trains at the rink with a solid alibi. The investigation hits a dead end. The crime scene is far from Pauline's home and rink. Pauline drives herself there. Why does she go to a remote place at 5 a.m.? Where does the killer get the car key? Daphne finds a call in Pauline's phone history. Around midnight, she calls a number. At that hour, people usually call someone close. When Karadec calls back, the number doesn't exist. Though the number is cancelled, they trace the owner, Sylvain. Oddly, Sylvain dies 4 months ago. The cause is the same as Pauline's, run over by his own car. The killer isn't found. It's a serial murder case. The 2 victims have no mutual friends. Their jobs aren't related. Why does the killer choose them? Karadec and Morgane visit Sylvain's house. Only his wife and child remain. Seeing the child cry, Morgane shares a tip.
Oh, c'est miraculeux votre truc. Les bruits blancs. Aspirateur, sèche-cheveux, robinet d'eau.
Turn on the kitchen range hood. It creates white noise to calm the child. As a mother of 3, Morgane has plenty of parenting experience. They learn nothing from Sylvain's wife. They go to the local police station to check cameras from Sylvain's accident. Sylvain gets bumped by a person in black running clothes. While crossing the street, his own car hits him. Police suspect the person in black steals the car key. The car drives into a camera blind spot and vanishes. Morgane looks at a map on the wall. After thinking, she knows where the car went. In Pauline's case, the murder weapon is dumped in the river. The killer likely thinks this disposal method works well and uses it again. The car police couldn't find for months is easily located by Morgane. The police chief is impressed. They initially think it's a car theft. The killer's goal isn't stealing the car. Too much time passes to find fingerprints or DNA on the car. Morgane wants to see evidence from the car. The police chief has a good impression and agrees. Morgane knows it's someone else's turf and wears gloves properly.
Karadec, regardez! Je n'ai les gants!
In a muddy notebook, she finds a familiar card. The pattern matches one at Pauline's house. The unrelated victims finally have a connection. The card is exclusive to a monastery. Before Karadec investigates there, they call the original witness. They ask if she notices a runner in black during the crime. Though blind, the girl has sharp hearing. She vaguely recalls someone running by the scene. The person wears headphones, listening to rock music. Hoping a blind person identifies the killer is unrealistic. Karadec and Morgane visit the monastery. It mainly hosts weddings. When shown photos of the victims, the priest has no memory of them. Out of options, Morgane searches herself. In the monastery's wedding registry, she flips a few pages and sees a familiar name. The skating team's coach had her wedding there. Pauline is a bridesmaid, and Sylvain is the DJ.
Jésus, Marie-Joseph, merci, il a vu la lumière!
According to the coach, Sylvain drives a flashy Mustang, catching attention at the wedding. Pauline behaves well and couldn't have a connection with Sylvain. Morgane disagrees. She reviews thousands of wedding photos from start to finish. Pauline and Sylvain exchange flirty glances and leave together. At the start of the party, Pauline sticks close to the bride, focusing only on her. Then, the DJ catches her attention. She dances with her hair loose, her gaze shifting more toward him. It's clear she likes the DJ, and then she goes to grab a cocktail. The DJ stares back at Pauline, and sparks fly between them. Later, with the groom as the DJ, it means Pauline and the DJ, Sylvain, leave together. A few photos tell Morgane a whole love story. The story isn't beautiful because Sylvain is married. Based on his child's age, his wife is pregnant a year ago. Sylvain's wife has a motive for revenge. Karadec thinks carefully. The wife might not know about the affair. Even if she knows, why wait a year to act? Morgane says at Sylvain's house, the child's napkin has the mother's surname. The couple clearly separates before the child is born. The wife knows about Sylvain's affair. Karadec and Morgane return to Sylvain's house. The range hood is on. Morgane's tip works. One day, Sylvain comes home, and his wife finds a woman's earring in the car. Knowing he cheats, she leaves him. When the child is born, Sylvain begs to reconcile. She softens, not wanting the child to lack a father, and reluctantly agrees. She has no motive for revenge. Karadec thinks they're back to square one. Morgane suddenly asks about the Mustang. Sylvain is hit by an old taxi. So, is the Mustang sold? The wife says it's broken and too costly to fix. So it's stored. Morgane tries starting it with the key. The windshield is cracked, but the engine works fine. Karadec notices something odd and tells her to close the door. He uses a UV light to check the car. A large bloodstain appears near the headlight. The car clearly hit someone. The case becomes clear. Pauline and Sylvain meet at the coach's wedding. While driving away, too drunk, they accidentally hit someone. Pauline prepares for the Olympics, and Sylvain is about to be a father. Both refuse to give up their bright futures, so they leave the victim. No wonder Pauline's performance drops, and the coach cuts her. The killer could be a relative or friend of the hit victim. They return to the station to check wedding-related records. 2 days after the wedding, cyclists find a victim barely alive by the road. The person has multiple broken bones and severe dehydration. They survive but are severely disabled and blind. An image of a person with a guide dog emerges. The suspect is right in front of them. Emily doesn't heed it. She isn't born blind, but loses her sight after being hit by a car from behind. She faints before seeing the driver's face. Police never find the car. She claims she doesn't know Pauline or Sylvain and couldn't kill them. A blind person can't steal keys and drive to hit someone. Morgane thinks differently. She looks at the headphones on the lamp and the card on the table. Her mind races, and she spots Emily's flaw. The key lies with the guide dog.
J'ai vu un reportage génial sur ces chiens. Vous savez qu'ils sont dressés pour toucher la jambe ou la main de leur maître avec le museau au moment du départ. Et comme ça, l'aveugle, enfin le malvoyant, il l'a pas fait parce qu'il sait très bien que sa maîtresse, elle est plus aveugle. Pas les masques!
Emily sits back, just as Morgane guesses. 6 months ago, her vision starts recovering. Though she doesn't see the driver's face during the accident, she hears voices nearby. She clearly remembers Sylvain's first words when he gets out of the car. The couple doesn't check on her injuries. They argue by the road and leave. Emily lies by the road for a day and night before someone finds her. No one can imagine what she endures. When her vision returns, Emily plans her revenge. She trains hard in pickpocketing skills. One day she makes the two who hit her feel her pain. Why not report to the police? A year passes, and the car isn't found, so Emily loses faith in French police. The case closes. Karadec continues his search for love. He wants a stable wife. For some reason, when he sees his date's face, he thinks of Morgane. Karadec ends the date early. He goes to Morgane's house to face his feelings. Morgane and her ex-husband answer the door. Seeing the happy family, Karadec feels deep loss. Is he just imagining things?